Giant, and this isn't even the entire cast.
Yeah.
No, this is like Dancing with the Stars looks like a smaller cast. So congratulations, you guys. Season 3 is insane. And it seems to, what do you guys feel about, because the show really started off as a procedural and it definitely had its Batman roots and its DC comic stuff, but now it's gone full comic book crazy. How do you guys feel about this evolution?
It's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah.
I feel like we all own the show and we get to do what we want with it, and there's such freedom. I mean, we're bringing characters or duplicates of characters back from the dead or near dead, and I mean, it's just amazing.
Everything goes.
There's so much freedom,
And
right?
it feels like there's so much more room to play.
Yes.
And you see these characters who we hadn't seen actually interact before. Like, we waited almost a season for you guys, Corey and Robin, to have this, like, more than a hello together.
Yeah.
It's what comic book fans want.
Yeah, exactly.
You're giving the people what they want.
So I'm sorry. So I didn't get to see like the last 3 minutes of it. Did we ever find out what Oswald wanted to say?
Yes.
I think we could figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's that's
Yeah.
happening, right? Like that's like fan fiction is just like.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Like, we were watching it upstairs, and I was like, for a minute, I forgot that we weren't watching it live, and I had this panic attack. I was like, my phone is, Twitter is probably exploding right now. I was like,
You're like.
and then I was like, oh wait, no.
Yeah.
we're
If
watching
you
it.
missed what he said, then you missed me like having love at first sight at the end of.
Well, I saw that because that was I was getting mic'd,
Oh, okay.
so I missed the. So it was said.
Oh, in between.
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah,
said
she
to an empty
said.
chair.
She was like, yeah, I love you. And he was like,
I
She loves somebody else.
All right, so I don't want to cast aspersions, but it seems like all the women in Gotham have horrible timing. Like, honestly.
The men's timing is so much
The men
better.
are terrible. The men are the worst boyfriends ever. All right, so for you, Jim has been jailed, institutionalized. He was put on suicide watch.
Sure.
When he started, he was like,
Other than that, he's doing great.
Yeah, ex-military. He's like straight and narrow. And now he's like, did you think when you started on this show that this guy would become so conflicted?
No, but you know, we have to keep going further and further.
Yeah, there's levels, but like, this guy is not having
we
an
wanted
easy
him
life.
to start as close to, maybe not Boy Scout, but close to that as possible, and give him room to grow. And I think what's great about all of these characters is that they grow in ways that are unexpected for the audience, and for an audience that is only really familiar with Commissioner Gordon. That's the only Gordon I ever knew, with this sort of white-haired guy who sat behind a desk and answered a phone every once in a while and said, yeah, it's Batman.
Yeah, he's up on the roof a lot with a giant symbol.
Exactly, yeah. You know, it gives us
Great Caesar's ghost.
I know, I got to deliver that line at some point.
At some point it will, or it will be a character.
Indeed, Caesar's ghost. You know, it gives all of us this, like we said before, this freedom, which is just
Is that something that you are hoping that the writers start to incorporate a little bit more?
Yes.
Because Jim Gordon also noticed that once he left the police force, he owns the world's largest collection of black coats, jackets, and pants. He's like Michael Kors.
That's right. Yes.
So is that something, are we going to start seeing Jim have a little bit more fun?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of these characters get to, I mean, we saw Double Bruce, Doppelganger Bruce, or Acid Rock Bruce, or whatever his sort of like...
Emo Bruce.
Emo Bruce.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Acid
Yes,
Rock. That's
emo.
the wrong reference.
Or Deuce.
That would be different. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
What is it?
Deuce.
Nice, nice. Do you guys, because of the roots it shares with, you know, the comic books and the fandom, do you guys check out the comments? Do you look at what the fans of the predecessor have to say? You know, the Batman books and all that stuff. Do you guys look at that?
Yeah, no, I would say, like, well, you know, we were encouraged to participate on Twitter. You know, like, for example, when we're watching the shows, and that's always, you know, that's an experience. It's often a very rewarding one, and so it's really hard in this day, you know, and beyond Twitter, just social media in general. It's really hard to not, you know, not be bombarded with how people feel about what we're doing with the show. But I feel really fortunate because you know, I would say the majority of it is very, very positive.
Right, and if they didn't, like, they will tell you.
Yeah.
No, clearly. Oh my God.
Well, it's important to point out to people that when you put at Michael Chiklis, I see it.
I'm standing right here. the notifications are like exploding.
There's not a filter.
No.
It goes directly to you.
Yes.
Right? It's not like you have to look for it.
So just bear that in mind.
Somebody wants to fight me, apparently. They love me, but they want to fight me. Let's go.
All right. And it's probably like a 90.
Oh!
Yeah.
Where's Aaron?
I'm telling hilarious jokes, but I don't think anyone can. Because they're not ready to.
Donald, I want to say, so all these characters have really evolved very nicely. Some rapidly, some scientifically. But Bullock has really cleaned up his act, and he's probably like the most legit on the squad now.
You know, it's so interesting. It's wild that I probably have my take on Bullock is, it seems to differ from what people tell me all the time what their take on Bullock is. Bullock was kind of beaten up and crusty and crabby, but was always kind of doing the right thing. And, you know, Jim came in, and it really reinvigorated Bullock to believe again in like trying to save Gotham, to go deep for Gotham. But the funny thing was, like, Jim was the one who became Bullock-esque.
Right.
And started, and I'm from season 1 on, partnering up with Penguin, doing all these things.
Right.
Like, he's just running after him now to try and save his friend from self-destruction. But I weirdly think, and it might be wrong, but Bullock is Gotham in a way. He's kind of settled into Gotham. You know, he's a middle-aged man. He's seen a lot come before, and he stays. I mean, I know that there's been an evolution. Like, he might clean up a little bit or this and that, but as opposed to the kind of arcs that everybody else is on, I think Bullock kind of stays. He's kind of a lodestone that you can kind of set your clock to, Gotham-wise, in a way, if that makes sense.
Well,
I haven't had any of these dramatic turns that other people have
But
had.
you had, I mean, in the first season, he was clearly involved with all the wrong stuff.
Right.
But you guys had that great scene in the bar at the beginning of the season where it was like, oh, Bullock is the voice of reason? We're in a different Gotham.
Yeah, you know, Jim
Yeah.
has fallen far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now Barnes, you know, we clearly knew that something was going to happen with this guy. But I feel like this guy, things aren't going to go well for this man. Like, I feel like the next time he yells at Jim, it's not just going to be yelling.
I've been afraid that I'm going to have an aneurysm doing this show. Because I'm always mad. Like I got veins popping out of my head. And they even enhance those. So, yeah, he's spiraling into darkness. And incidentally, when you write at Donald Logue, he sees it.
Yes.
I'm going to check right now.
Well, the fun of this is because this character can be taken wherever they want.
Yeah, well, look, that was the fun thing when we were discussing this without, you know, I mean, you obviously you see that he's been infected and he's in a struggle now, trying not to let it completely take over, but this is Gotham, right? So, you know, we deal in varying shades of black. So, you know, he's going to spiral into darkness, this guy, and it's an interesting ride for me. I'm having a great time.
Well, I love that you're spiraling, but nobody's going to be watching you do it because they don't think it would happen to you.
It's personal, right? Well, inevitably. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's hard to
I'm
conceal.
so desperately not to ruin.
Okay.
Shot some really great stuff.
Nice. All right. Okay.
Very exciting.
I think
yeah.
I think the last time we did a panel, you had just shot a fight scene, where you were just like feeling it the next day.
Yeah, that's my life in this business. It's me and frozen peas. I don't, you know, I'm always, you know, people are like, meet me and they're worried I'm going to hurt them, and I'm not going to. It's all right.
He's probably not going to.
Probably not, right? Robin, the Penguin, obviously, he's now. First of all, I want to point out and congratulate the fact that the Penguin ran a cleaner campaign than either of our presidential Also, an incredibly short and sweet campaign. Like,
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I know. God,
Gotham got
we should all
their
be
shit
so
down.
lucky, right?
If this whole crap could be wrapped up in
done.
2 episodes,
Yeah.
it'd be so nice.
We're like all over it.
So I want to, this guy, I don't understand, it's the writers, it's the performances, but how on earth is it that we're still sympathetic for this guy? He is a killer, he is a madman. Every time he rises, he falls a little bit. He can't get a break. He can't even get a statue erected properly. Okay. Yet then he goes and kills people, and we're like, oh, issues.
Yeah.
How is this like, do you realize when you're playing these scenes, like, this man is also a killer?
Yeah, I mean, that's always in the back of my mind. I mean, like, and also I just have to say, like, that is what we are all contributing to the show, in the sense that, like, okay, I'm just going to throw it to Ben, in the sense that Jim Gordon is the hero of our show. He's also a murderer.
Right.
He's also done despicable things. This show is about how Gotham corrupts. And all of us, like, we are trying to find that in-between line where it's like, okay, like, if this was, like, your loved one, or if this was someone you were close to and they did something like this, like, you would divorce yourself from them, because it would be horrifying to witness someone do this thing. But we're always trying to find that in-between line where it's like, you know, if I understand why they did it and I see what they went through to do this thing, you can't help but there's a shred of sympathy there. And I think you see that with every single one of us on this panel. It's about loss, it's about heartbreak, and how everyone goes through that. That's, you know, it corrupts and it changes them. And that's Gotham City, that's what it does.
And yet people elect to stay there or come back. Like when she asked in the bathroom, like, why did Lee come back? I'm like, seriously?
The rent
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. What's it like down south?
right, it's like,
Because everybody keeps
right,
coming back.
that's like Gwyneth Paltrow choosing to go back to the Seven City. So you talk about the corruption, and Barbara, who, oh my God, is like my favorite. This is like, I love, how great has it been watching her go from like mild-mannered, like slightly bisexual socialite, who like, in the first season was like, is she a doctor or does she work at an art gallery? Is she a doctor or work at an art gallery? Like nobody really knew, but she had amazing clothes and never went to work. But now it's like, I feel like this character finally found her full crazy place. Yeah. And it's like, talk about owning her power and just like, how's that been taking this ride from this character who really, at the beginning, it didn't feel like they really knew what to do with her. And then did they see, oh, this girl's got some crazy going on in there. Like, she can bring this. Yes.
Yeah, they like met me on the first day and they were like, oh, Erin, you're crazy, so we should utilize this. No, I think I feel very honored that they have developed my character in this way, because I think you're right, maybe at the beginning we had an area with her where we wanted her to be something, and then we realized that actually that place doesn't exist in Gotham, because she was kind of a safe haven for Jim to come back to and probably do a little bit of like exposition with, you know, this has been my day, this is how I feel, this is how I'm moving forward. And she'd be like, yes, okay, glass of wine. So we very quickly found that wasn't going to work, because in Gotham there is no safe place. So we developed her in the way that she has been brilliantly developed by our incredible writers. And I feel like this third season is just such an incredible time for me, and an incredible thing to be able to play with, because I feel like she's earned it. You know, she's been through a lot. She's come right from that place all the way to here, and you know, beautifully kind of written the kind of journey that she's taken, and now she is getting to kind of be her full power. And that's wonderful to play, because it really, every day is a joy when you're embodying that kind of character, because you can do anything. It's like a crazy kind of snake woman.
And you must have such a blast with these scenes with Jessica, where the two of you just get to sit and like bitch out everybody. Like, I love that. Like,
and how badass is Jess as well?
Oh my God.
Doing that last episode, like not tonight, but the one where she's on the motorbike coming from this one.
Forget about it.
She's so hot. I just look, sometimes I forget my lines because I'm just looking into her face. And I'm like, stop. Yeah, so it's such a pleasure, and Jess and I get on so well, and I think those two characters together, you know, they've got the sirens, Jess is the muscle, I'm like the crazy, whatever, I'm just me. And yeah, they're really, in this season, you're gonna see, about halfway through, they're really gonna ramp it up and start kind of vying for the top slot in the Gotham underworld, which is gonna be brilliant. She thinks this time Gotham had a woman's touch.
all right.
Don't you?
Speaking of a woman's touch,
Hillary.
So we know in the Batman mythology that Jim and Barbara are Batgirl's parents.
Right.
And now Jim has embraced his darker side and his a little rougher, more reckless side. Do you think, or had they discussed possibly of these two making a very big mistake together?
Do you want to take that one back?
No child is a mistake.
No child.
Can't come into the world unsaved.
Thank you. Every child is precious.
We are covering everything.
Donald. However, it's been discussed at length.
Okay.
We'll figure that out.
Because they can't seem to stay away from each other.
And true, so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Jim seems to find himself at the Sirens.
And I feel
every
like
episode.
all the time. It's like apparently the only bar in town anymore.
Yeah, he just goes there.
And I'm
gets
kind of
really
just,
mad.
I feel like Barb should have been like, why was I not abducted? Like, why wasn't I in that mix?
Yeah, I think she.
Drew.
Yes, sir.
Drew Powell.
Hi.
All right, this guy, like, this guy, you have been on this show since the pilot.
Yeah.
Like, quietly, like,
To everyone's shock.
yeah, like, you have, like,
Drew actually wasn't even. He just showed up.
he just, like, oh, right.
showed up.
That's kind of true.
And he wanted.
He's like, do you need some? Hey, everyone. So this guy, like, he was just there,
Yeah.
and he was just in the background, and like, you would think that he's maybe a red shirt. At some point, they're gonna have to kill him.
Yeah.
They have tried countless ways to kill this man,
Like a cockroach.
and now a one-armed cockroach. How did this evolve into you being, this major player now?
Well, I have to say, Bruno told me on the pilot, when we're sitting in the meat hanging factory or whatever that was, we're stringing these guys up, he told me kind of, on the QT, he's like, listen, the thing about Butch is people will underestimate him until it's too late. You're going to have to be patient. It's going to come. And so I was patient, and it took a long time to come. But I was really thankful that he gave me that little bit of information, because it helped me believe that, that I wasn't so crazy to move to New York and take this job. And it's been such a fun ride to go from, especially in that first season, from that spot at the beginning to the end on the roof, and now into this craziness of I don't know what it is with Butch and these women, but he cannot help himself. But it's been such a fun run to play.
It's so cute to see this guy, like, cute. It is, it's cute. It's like, because his name is Butch, and he was like, kind of like, I think he was underappreciated as, like, what he represented amongst the underworld.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else picked this up. Did you see how Penguin raised the hand that he chopped off in the last episode? I mean, Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. And now you have a target on your back.
Yeah.
Now you fully have, like, you have crossed the wrong bird.
I know. That makes you nervous from a character standpoint and from an actor standpoint. Like, okay, how is he going to get out of this one?
Yeah.
But I have faith.
Okay. All right.
Cockroach.
And now you guys threw us for a loop, because last week I really thought that you two were going to team up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Because you guys were, like, kind of striking that dirty little deal, and I was like, there is
crazy.
no loyalty amongst these people. I mean, I get that they're madmen and maniacs and mobsters, but come on.
trickster.
Yeah.
I will say that was so much fun to shoot. I mean, we never really get to work together, and so
That was really our first time doing stuff.
yeah, it was
Okay.
great. Yeah.
All right, so Corey, riddle us this. I had to use it, sorry. At the beginning of the season, John Stevens, one of the executive producers, told us that this season we were really going to see Ed take those steps to becoming the Riddler. Now, I don't imagine politics being his way into villainy. What can you tell us about where this guy is going?
What better path?
Well, I think something that I've enjoyed so much, I didn't anticipate getting out of Arkham. How lovely that Penguin is so generous as to break me out. And I'm just helping him. I say something in, like, one of the forthcoming episodes where I say I don't have an interest in running Gotham. Because I don't. I am trying to figure out what I'm doing. And right now, I have a serious ally and friend in Penguin. And so being a number two is kind of great. Like, because what I can do is I can strategize for Penguin and deliver exactly what he wants, and that's a huge win for me. So, like, I actually feel like all the stuff that I never got to do at GCPD and never feel helpful and never actually execute exciting stuff. I get to do that now, and that's kind of awesome.
Well, that's the fun of watching your arc this season has been that Ed has fully integrated his two parts, his two halves that we used to see in the mirror, but like he's got a spine now. Like this guy, it's almost like somebody went through puberty. Because when he walked into the GCPD last week and was like, oh no, you're gonna be answering to me, I was like, check out this boss.
But for someone that's so intelligent, he doesn't actually make choices about his life. Like choices kind of happen to him.
Right.
You know, and as we saw at the end of this, he runs into a Kristen Kringle lookalike, and that's probably the one, like that's probably his Achilles heel,
Right.
for him to kind of get pulled into an emotional response again. Because what he's tried to do is like not be emotional. I said to Penguin in season 2, you know, our only weakness is love, and if we just don't allow ourselves to feel that,
Right.
then nothing can stop us. So this is like his one weakness, but you know, I think he's just going to get beat up again, and it's going to land him in a place where he makes some decisions.
Well, I worry about the threat that this Kristen lookalike poses to the bromance.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
think?
I feel like maybe Oswald might make a bad life choice.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know, I think what it's revealing is that perhaps our feelings are perhaps very different.
Okay, all right. Not on Twitter. Twitter, they want a lot.
Well, you know, try to keep this a secret until Monday because.
But they want it like, I mean, this has been going on since your first scene where they're like, they want to take this to like premium cable level.
Dude,
They're like, let's get it on. Yeah. Move it down to 8 o'clock. Yeah.
I never knew how badly I wanted to be in fan fiction, but it's so sick.
Right?
It's so
Yeah.
sick.
It changes your worldview.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the stuff we get sent is.
But how about the writers picking up on that and finding a way to, I mean,
Yeah.
kudos to them. 'Cause
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
They listen to you.
Monday night is going to be wild. Okay, now Chris Chalk.
That's me.
That is you, Chris Chalk. Yes. All right, now. So, much like the big screen version of Lucius Fox, I feel like also probably the only sane person in Gotham.
Yes.
Like literally the only straight, narrow, like just this guy tells you as it is.
Yeah.
He does not veer. He's not looking to like play dirty. This guy is,
Wants to do the right thing.
yeah. And also gets the best deadpan lines.
That's very true.
Oh my God.
Though I think all his lines are deadpan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like he suffers no fools and he's surrounded by them.
I think he does his best, especially, you know, now working for the GCPD, which is just, you know, a hot mess.
Yeah.
I think he does his best to just temper it until he can figure out what's next for himself, you know.
And he's going to obviously have to factor heavily into the investigation into Tetch's blood.
Obviously.
So, as Robin said, Gotham corrupts. Do you feel that Lucius is potentially corruptible?
Everybody's corruptible. I'm gonna change your question and answer my own question that I want you to ask.
Okay. So it is just like the debate tonight. Okay.
So the question,
Exactly. You want us to walk around?
the question you just didn't ask me, but
Right.
you're gonna ask me is like, what do I want to happen to Lucius?
Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
I studied jujitsu. I want somebody to mess with Lucius's mind, and he goes batshit crazy. And he beats people up, gets beat up, and then he goes, when he gets convinced again, he goes, I'll never be violent again. That's what I'm pitching.
Okay.
He just wants one.
And don't interrupt me. And he's going to have a love affair with Barbara.
Oh my. I think you finally found a way to make her blush.
Revealing.
I do not know if Lucius is ready for that yet.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't even know if Tabitha was ready for that. And that girl has a whip. If somebody is going to mess with anyone's mind, it is going to be Mr. Benedict Samuel, our new villain. Yes. So, welcome to Gotham.
Thank you very much.
How have they been treating you?
Pretty poorly.
Yeah.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been fantastic.
Now, so Ken Woodruff, one of the other executive producers, stated that this season was actually going to be called Heroes Will Fall, to tie in with the rise of the villains. But when they started to see where they could take your character, they changed it to Mad City. And clearly, this guy he's not just after Jim at this point. I feel like Gotham, as a whole, is still at risk. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, when you let someone loose, whose mind is loose, then everything can be undone. And I think that's what's really terrifying about the Mad Hatter or Jervis Tetch.
And of the villains on the panel, was there any kind of hazing? Did they take you out to Sirens for a couple drinks?
You know, hazing is a very American kind of terminology.
Right.
It's not. I don't really understand it.
Okay, did
In
they?
Australia, they call it Friday night.
Friday, yeah.
I've been there. I know.
Like, where do we see this guy? Is he going to ramp up things? Because at this point, he's messing with their heads and clearly, just killing people wherever. Or is he going to continue this assault on Jim's senses and put all these bodies, the blood on his hands?
Well, I think he's a very self-serving character, and I think he directly goes after things that affect him. So I think in his mind, it's Jim Gordon, and then also in his mind, Jim Gordon is a byproduct of the city of Gotham, and so therefore it's Gotham, and therefore it's everyone in Gotham. So it kind of encompasses that, it's such an skewed view of the world.
And the villain, so Ed and Oswald are oddly protective of Jim, even though there's still the nemesis situation, but they seem to take care of you when they need to, or when
The cat loves its mouse.
So how are these guys going to feel when they get wind of what this guy's been doing?
Terrified, obviously. I mean, the powers that Jervis Tetch has could, conceivably, transform the entire city. And at least I can only speak for the Penguin, as the mayor now, and as he said in season 2 when he was going toe to toe with Gallivan, he said Gallivan was trying to get him on board to demolish like a whole part of the city, and he was like, no, I am a builder. I am a builder. I do not want to tear things down. Like, people talk about the Joker and comparisons and whatever. Penguin is the opposite of that. He's like, anarchy is absolutely terrifying to him because he cannot control that. And then to have someone who can literally mesmerize potentially millions of people, I mean, then all of his power, power is gone.
And that's always been his thing, like getting that power.
Yes, that is his true love.
And for Ed, his mind is his favorite toy.
Yeah, I mean, one of Ed's downfalls is that he's not really intimidated by many people. So I think he would be more like, oh, you rhyme. That's cute.
That's amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Wait.
Right, like how do you
Listen to the club.
I believe he just threw
Has to be in the
shade.
show.
All right, so this is the Made in New York panel and festival. So I want to ask you guys. You've filmed so much in the city and the boroughs, and because it's Gotham, anything that happens during the day is usually within an office or an apartment, and the nights are you guys out on the streets or in weird lots or in the armory and things like that. Do you have a favorite place or weirdest place that you've had to shoot?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, because I'm from Sydney, it's been so exciting to shoot in New York and all the different little places. And so for me, it's been like a work tourist kind of.
Oh, nice, right.
Like, this is Roosevelt Island. And all these places, and that's the 59th Street Bridge, and this is here, and there's the prize bill. I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. And then I'm like, oh, sorry.
Sorry, back to being crazy.
It's been exciting for me to see, because I've been watching the show as well, and to be in the places where we've shot has been really exciting. That it reflects New York City and that Gotham is a real character in the show, I think is part of the real success of the show as well.
I love that we tend to go to these massive structures that were built, you know, in the 30s and 40s when we were still building structures like that. You know, like we did a scene a couple of weeks ago at the foot of the Manhattan Bridge, and we took some great stills in front of that. And this also should be said, and everybody knows this, that the directors of photography on this show are exceptional. And,
I have to say, one day we were going to work and we were working somewhere out, and I think we were in the East New York or somewhere, and they picked me up and right on. And so on the way out there, we went by Benedict's apartment to pick him up, and I love this dude anyway. I think he brings so much to the show. He's a fantastic actor, he's a fantastic guy. But where he lives made me love him so much more. It was so straight out of 1973 Serpico. Like, he's living
It's like under the train tracks.
East Williamsburg, under the L. Like, and I was like, you're getting the New York experience. You dove in and loving it and loving all the little
Avenue
spots.
of Puerto Rico.
So it's like, you know, and we get, we're all, I think the craziest place we shoot is in they call it barely breathing. Bailey Seton, this hospital in Staten Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But it has that haunted feeling of it had been a sanitarium, it was a mental institution.
Were you an employee there or a resident?
But you have,
Judge our fans.
Right, not at all.
but you
I
have
would've
those
stayed with
moments.
her.
You know, we have these moments, and they're so
Creepy
poignant,
vibe.
where you're shooting the stuff outside, and it's supposed to be Arkham, but it literally is a working mental institution. And there would be times where it's 2 in the morning or something, and you look up on the 5th floor, and there's just the lonely silhouette of a person sitting in a window, watching you, and it's heartbreaking. And you're thinking of these. You know, and there's no way that we do our job and separate ourselves as human from the job or the city or the things. All these things are fibrous.
And you've talked about it too. Like the Gotham, in a way, represents the urban decay that is sort of, you know, all around us at times, and it's something that I think, you know, not to get too sort of pseudo-philosophical about it, but it does kind of, if there's a point to Gotham, it's to bond us together. Like Robin was saying, that, you know, the origin stories should show that the villains and the heroes are actually quite similar. They just have different experiences, and life goes a certain way or another, and fate is cruel. But that's also true of the city itself in a larger respect, and the way that we shoot in these places that used to be so grand, that used to be such emblems of pride amongst us as Americans, and have in some cases sadly fallen into such disrepair, is perfectly emblematic of the.
Because of the places you guys do film, because they aren't really like touristy spots, you're probably not getting a lot of crowds to come and looky-loo. Do they still find you guys?
People find us.
Wow, because I've been on some of your locations and they are not people safe.
We were,
Like, those are.
we were shooting in the previous episode that aired on Monday. We were shooting in a literal shit factory.
Yeah.
It was a fertilizer factory where they like.
Wow.
It was then defunct, and it was up in the Bronx someplace, and there were still fans out on the road. Like, you know, it's remarkable.
Yeah,
There
also,
is
that's one of those places you go, you're like, wow, how'd you find this place? The architecture is amazing. What was this? Oh, this is where they turned shit into fertilizer.
Oh, why did it shut down? Because it exploded.
Oh yeah, methane gas.
It'll be a Walmart in 4 years. We're going to go to audience questions. So right here.
I'm Michael. I'm from Jersey. Thank you all for coming. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
One thing I wanted to talk about, I think besides the Mad Hatter, besides the Riddler and the Penguin and Butch, the bigger, larger thread of this entire show is the Court of Owls. And I wanted to ask you guys 2 brief questions. I'll make them brief. How familiar were any of you with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Court of Owls storyline, and what are your predictions for the eventual interactions between your characters and the Court of Owls? Because I think that's not going to go well.
I actually had the pleasure of meeting Scott and Greg recently. And I was not, to be honest, as familiar with Court of Owls as perhaps I should have been. But what's great about the sort of the concept of it is that it allows us to sort of peel yet another layer off of the onion. Sort of there's just sort of layers within layers within layers of Gotham, and there's always something sort of dark and foreboding around each corner. So I think the ways that we'll interact with them are sort of to be determined. But what it may serve to do is sort of bond our principal characters in unexpected and unlikely ways.
And it seems interesting with the Court of Owls. It might be, obvious to say that Gotham represents, in some ways, modern society. It could be like even what's happening politically right now. That you can have things like
what's happening right now?
Well, you can I would say Donald Trump is a very Gotham-esque character. But that you can have Hillary, you can have Donald, you can have these arguments, you can have the parties come up, but the Court of Owls are kind of like the thing that people run into even in politics, where they go, I got elected, this is this, and then you're taken to a side room where you're like, this is really who controls the stuff that goes down. And I love that because we're starting to veer towards the Court of Owls right now. And you just get that sense that all you mice and men down here with your little bit of their squabbles and this and that and your meteoric rise to be the mayor, it doesn't matter because there's the master puppeteers are sitting above you pulling the strings. And it's a good point that you bring up, and we're getting into it as the season gets midway.
So a common enemy could put all these disparate players together.
Yeah.
Or play them against each other.
Indeed, yeah.
All right. Right up there.
Hi, Drew.
Hi, Mom.
I love you all. You guys are great. You all seem to like each other, which is good for a cast.
Good acting.
But you also don't get to interact. Your characters don't interact very often. Is there any characters that you wish that your character would eventually meet down the road, either romantically or fight?
I think Chris covered it for all of us.
Yeah.
He took it.
I'm pretty sure we know the answer to that question.
Wait, I want to hear what Benedict has to say about that. Benedict, you're the newcomer. Who do you want, put you on the spot? Sorry, buddy.
That's okay. I mean, I've always said in previous interviews, I think the Mad Hatter would have an interesting relationship with the way things are going now with the Penguin and Enigma. I mean, I know that may not be a very satisfying answer, but I just think the potential of that triangle is so fascinating and interesting because they're both, all three of them are such deceptive individuals.
Is this a professional relationship, or what are we?
Wait a minute.
Many different hats.
I mean, the man really likes tea.
You know one character, we wish Sean was here,
Yeah.
Sean is just the greatest guy, and we love him so much. And it's like, I think we're all, because Sean and David are always working kind of on their own, that it says he gets so excited when he gets to break out and work and do some stuff with all of us. And so I always like working with Sean is always just a blast.
Yeah. And it's true that, like, the Sirens episode scene from last episode, when we were almost all together, it was like we were at camp. Like, this is so fun!
Right here.
Hi, I'm Jonah. I don't know if you guys might remember me just from like this side.
We all
so
remember
much,
we
man.
love you,
I
and
don't
we
recognize you
Two-Face.
without half of your face.
I know, you're always two-faced.
Jonah is our #1 fan and our #1 friend. Like, he's just
Okay, so after recovering from that, what I was wondering was, all your characters are very complex. What exactly would you say your favorite character trait is of your character?
I personally like the clothes that the Mad Hatter wears. I love the fine fabrics that I get to wear.
His style. Chris Chalk?
I like Lucius's pursuit of intellect, like his discovery. He has this thing of learning.
My favorite scenes are when Edward is feeling particularly proud of himself and when he's like really giddy. I just did a scene recently with this guy.
Oh, jeez.
There are a few scenes before or something.
Just wait,
and it was like one of the most fun days ever because I was just like a raging asshole because I like filled with glee.
Yeah.
That's when I have the most fun.
Yeah, that was great. I like Butch's ability to survive.
Yeah.
On many levels.
Cockroach.
I like Barbara's, I don't know whether to say ruthfulness, or her kind of like, she's kind of connected to something quite elemental, which sometimes, you know, can be a little unpredictable, which is great. So yeah, a combination, ruthful elementalness.
She's like the wind.
She is.
I would say that in spite of it all, no matter how much it gets him in trouble and also makes him vulnerable, Penguin still has a heart, and there's still someone in there who like really wants to love and be loved, and no matter how often it's beaten out of him, he can't shut it off. He still goes back to it. So.
I think one of the reasons I love the comic book universe is because it deals with a theme that we as human beings are inexorably attracted to, which is we all have a dark aspect to our personas, to our psyches that we want to overcome. There's this preoccupation, I think, with everybody in the idea that good can vanquish evil. That's a big thing in comic books. And I think what I love about Barnes is his zeal to try to overcome his own demons.
I love that. That's beautiful. I think I think Harvey is, you know, I think he's a lonely guy, and he's lived a kind of hard life, and to him what really matters at some point now is just that he's loyal to Jim Gordon, like that he's loyal to Jim Gordon, and to the city, that he does the morally right thing. However blustery he is or whatever he says, that ultimately he'll put himself on the line for the people he loves, and I think his moral compass is really, really strong in that regard. But I think his home life is it's pretty bad.
Faster.
Yeah.
I'd almost say the same thing about mine. I think that's what you said was beautiful. That he'll put his butt on the line for the things he believes in, and I feel the same way about Jim. Yeah.
Right here in the front row.
One question for Ben. Did they ask you to use a gravelly voice throughout the whole series? Because I noticed that it's been like
they haven't
very
asked
interesting
me. Yeah,
to see that transition of your
thank you.
gravelly voice.
They haven't asked me. They haven't stopped me. So.
No, I like it.
I keep doing
And another question is, given the series now that you see on Netflix with the ability to go to like PG-13 and a little bit darker, and you guys are on Fox at 8 p.m.,
Yeah.
you ever feel like you guys should want to go a little bit darker?
Well,
you get held back because of the earlier prime time slot?
Well, let's see. Sadomasochism, murder,
eye gouging.
It's
eye gouging.
Eye gouging, yeah.
It's actually very strange. It's like what we're allowed to do and then what we're not allowed to do it really is senseless. Like the other day, I was told that I could not flip off another character because we would be fined and we couldn't air it, which blows my mind.
But you could shoot his arm off.
Yes.
Yeah, I could do anything else I wanted to
him
this
in the
character,
eye.
but I could not
And then step on it.
use my middle finger. So like it's really strange
Yes.
on network television what you can and cannot do.
But I mean, I think your point is well taken, and I think that you know, if we weren't, we might have different opportunities. What's interesting about not having the opportunity, quite frankly, is we have to figure out a way to get those points across without, you know, flipping someone the finger or something so obvious, or using certain language. And so, in a way, it becomes an odd little game that you play. As long as the writers are game for it, and they have been, they find the most ingenious ways to sort of circumvent the system.
Necessities.
Also, if
is the
Gotham
mother
was
of
on
invention.
HBO, Game of Thrones would look like Mr. Rogers' Neighbor. There would be everything.
Right here in the Yankees hat.
Hi, my question's for Aaron. I was wondering if you missed the Barbara-Selena relationship.
I do actually, yeah. Cameron is such an incredible person to work with. Yeah. We've actually got something really exciting in the pipeline. We'll teaser for you. Cameron, I'm pretty sure I can tell you guys, Cameron has come up with a little dance that the Sirens girls are going to do, and we're going to do that next week. And she's choreographed it. I don't know. Did you not know about this?
No.
You're in it.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
the lead dancer.
Oh my God, I can rehearse.
And a 5/6.
Yes.
We've actually rehearsed the dance for you. No, we haven't. So Cameron has got this together, and we're gonna film this dance after we finish. After we wrap next Thursday. She's a fantastic dancer and a fantastic person, and I think she plays Selena Kyle just to absolute perfection. So there may be some more interactions coming up between us in the series. So yeah, it's something to look forward to.
Little hurt I wasn't invited to dance.
Okay, right here on the end.
Makes sense though when you think about it.
It was under consideration.
Thank you very much. I'm also a little nervous, but I want to say that as an actor, I watch TV a lot, and I look at other actors' work, and when I watch you all, I learn a lot from the way you work. Not because I'm trying to emulate how you're working and all that. But anyway, that was one point. The real question I have for you is, because of all of you that I love, my favorite character is Oswald Cobblepot. And,
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
I'm known in my office as Oliver Cobblepot because my hair, when it's wet, I kind of have the same look. But
I need to bring you donuts one morning.
they should bring me a lot of things. So Penguin, I've watched a lot of Penguins over the years, from the reruns of the original Batman on TV, and then Danny DeVito's Penguin and all the others.
Yeah.
And, it didn't strike me as you carrying any of those penguins until I saw the umbrella in Galavan's throat. I was like, there he is,
Yeah.
And it's this series, it's all about Oswald Cobblepot, but maybe you could talk about how, you must have done some research, on previous penguins and how you're using some of them or creating your own penguin, so on and so forth. Whatever you could say.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is an ensemble show, and I am only in awe of the people that I work with, and we all sort of elevate each other. And I don't think the character would be who he is without every single other character up here. Again, I keep coming back to this, but it's and especially going into season 3, we all start to entwine each other into each other's lives, and you really see how the way, I'll have a scene with Barbara, and what she says informs every decision I make from that moment forward. And then the same with everyone else, every interaction, which is, again, the other thing that we really look forward to is becoming more and more entwined so that we can work together and, our characters expand that way. But in terms of research, yeah, okay, I grew up watching the original Adam West series every day after school. I watched Batman Returns 1,000 times, and so those were always part of my life. But really, it was just okay. When we auditioned, not everyone, but a lot of us didn't know what we were auditioning for, for the pilot. And so we were given scenes that were dummy scenes that you don't know. We weren't given a script. We weren't really even told what the project was. And that was sort of their way of getting people to not worry about what these amazing actors had done before, Burgess Meredith and Danny DeVito, for example. They wanted us to come in fresh with our own choices, our own decisions, and see oh, that actually, every choice that in my case, Robin Lord Taylor made was what we want for this character. So it was a very organic sort of process. And I give that just credit to Danny Cannon and to Bruno Heller. That was their brilliant idea, and that's why you see just such an incredibly well-casted show. We get asked a lot of the times, if you could play another character, who would you play? Which, for any future reporters out there, don't ever ask that question. Don't stop asking that question, because it's I have to say it was done purposely and intentionally so that you could never imagine anyone else playing Butch Gilzean, playing Edward Nygma, playing Captain Barnes. It was always supposed to be these lovely people. So, but, also we are very in touch with the DC world. Scott, Scott Snyder, we have talked to, they're all, Jeff Johns, overlooks all of our storylines. And so I went to him and just asked him for, Penguin storylines throughout the canon. And he hand selected some and sent them to me. And that's where I learned that Cobblepot was bullied as a child, which I never knew that. And so that was in my immediate human hook to this person. And again, to what I said to Jonah right here, it was like the fact that, you know, because he was never allowed to be loved, he never believed that anyone would love him, it's his Achilles heel. It's the thing that will always sort of bring him down. So that's my roundabout answer to that question. But thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right.
Oh,
I got Unfortunately, you have to be our last question, so don't mess this up. All right. Blue shirt.
Well, I guess I'm going to riff on a similar thought, but I've seen tons and tons of movies based on comic book characters, and they're great and a lot of fun. But you always sort of know that even the actors aren't really taking it all that seriously. But what keeps me coming back to Gotham is that inner pain you all seem to have this knack for expressing just at the right moment when it leaves the comic book world and suddenly you're in a real drama. Tonight, for example, the Mad Hatter at the Tea Party. That was a great moment when you became insecure. I won't say any more for the people out there who haven't seen it yet. Tune in Monday. But the point is, where do you get that from on your set? It must be an outrageous set. You're sitting there in this crazy universe, and you have to find that, as actors, that certain expression of pain that I find really remarkable for a comic book drama.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What a great that we could get.
And so now you guys have to answer the last question. Don't mess it up.
He brought his A.
Yeah.
It's our job.
That's our job.
It's and I'm not saying it flippantly. Our job is to not be like, oh, this is the 300th day I've shown up on this set, and what is the? Your job is to dip into that every time you're in a scene,
and
go,
also to not judge these people. Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think this particular show is under so much scrutiny because of the huge canon of work that comes across as the Batman story, that you really have to bring a sense of humanity to it, because that's what engages you. If we do something that you can't recognize, like, I'm happy, you're just gonna be like, what the hell's going on? There's something of a human nature that you can see in even the worst of people as much as you can see in the people that you admire. And I think that's what draws people to good television, and I feel like that's what this show has in it.
Yeah, and also, I think that actors serve you as the audience as empaths, and an empath is somebody who can channel emotions, because we live in a world where we're not allowed to be emotional. Men can't cry, women can't be angry. Hillary's not allowed to be angry because it's scary somehow. And it's horrendous and ridiculous. And actors, we bear ourselves for you. We give you the opportunity to see how emotions can help, to feel emotions and to just express them as they come through you is so good for us as a human race and so necessary. And we give that to you because it's what we do. And the only reason we can do that, and I know this because I work with the best people in TV, is that these people around me are so beautiful. They have so much love and compassion and consideration, and sometimes anger, and sometimes pain, and sometimes, frustration, but they are the most beautiful human beings, and I think that's what you see when you see us on TV, is you see that really underneath we're lovely people.
God.
My God. Somebody hand her the mic so she can drop it. That was beautiful. I want to thank all of you guys. I want to thank our incredible panel, the cast of Gotham. You guys